matters.
We're world champions. I can't believe it.
The longest drought in the history of American sports is over.
108 years and the curse is broken.
On CBS This Morning.
It makes me want to spring tears. It's song and everything. It's emotional. I figured I'd be crying, but this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
This morning's eye-opener is presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
Cubs fan not, you can feel that.
Absolutely.
I heard it described last night, guys, as an explosion of joy.
Yes.
I think that's such a good way to put it, don't you?
That's a terrific way to put it.
Explosion of joy.
Throughout sports,
Yeah.
it's a thrill to see somebody who's been losing win big.
It was worth staying up late on school night.
It was.
Welcome to CBS This Morning. The Chicago Cubs, as you well know, are World Series champions. More than a century of frustration ended last night. Cub fans went, what will we say, crazy after the final out of their Game 7 victory over the Indians. The score was 8-7 in 10 innings.
Take a look at this morning's Chicago Tribune. It shouts "at last," while the Cleveland Plain Dealer responds, "curses." The New York Daily News says for Cubs fans, next year is now. The historic moment dominates front pages of newspapers coast to coast, and Dean Reynolds is in Chicago, where the party lasted all night long. But we go first to Don Daler at Progressive Field in Cleveland, where Indians fans saw it all slip away. Don, good morning.
Good morning. I mean, what an incredible game. This time, the Fall Classic certainly lived up to its billing. We had Game 7, extra innings, rain delay, clutch home runs, and the two teams with the two longest World Series droughts in history battling it out. And now, there is one champion.
This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs win the World Series.
This is what a celebration looks like 108 years in the making.
And the Cubs have finally won it all.
The Chicago Cubs swarmed Progressive Field in Cleveland in a frenzy, and fans in Chicago exploded outside of Wrigley Field after one of the greatest World Series games in baseball history. From the start, the Cubs took command of the game in historic fashion with the first ever Game 7 leadoff home run.
What a start.
I can't control myself. I'm trying my best.
It's understandably so, buddy. I hear you.
I'm an emotional wreck.
It's only going to get worse. Just continue to breathe. That's all you can do, buddy.
The Cubs' late-inning lead evaporated after a miraculous home run by Rajai Davis that ignited the Indian fan base, including LeBron James, pushed the game into extra innings, and sent Cub fans spiraling into a state of shock.
You're not going to believe this.
If that drama wasn't enough, a 17-minute rain delay put a pause in the game heading into extra innings. But in the extra frame, the relentless Cub offense was too much for the Indians to handle.
It happened. Chicago, it happened. We did it. We're world champions, Ken. And that's it. We're world champions. I can't believe it.
Cubs and their fan base have endured heartache for well over a century. For Cleveland, their World Series drought continues.
If we play him next year, we'll get him the second time around. But what a World Series.
I'm so proud of these guys. The city of Chicago deserves this. With these guys.
Chicago's curse-busting win now puts the burden on Cleveland's shoulders for the longest World Series drought. 68 years and counting.
Yeah, I know, but what a great, great game. Thank you, Don Daler. So lucky you got to see it in person. Thanks a lot. The party on Chicago's North Side started long before Game 7, and guess what? It is still going strong. It's been 39,466 days since the Cubs won their last World Series, but who's counting? That was back in October 1908, and that was the same month, think about this, that the Ford Model T first went into production. Americans have elected 18 presidents since 1908, when women were still not allowed to vote. Dean Reynolds is at Wrigley Field that was built back in 1914, which has never, ever, ever seen a celebration like this one. Dean, good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's the dawn of a new era here at Wrigley Field. The World Series champions home, and in fact, those World Series champions just arrived here at Wrigley Field to hoist the trophy that had eluded them for so long. Across Chicago, it was a once-in-a-lifetime celebration. Some games you watch, a few you remember, but only one can be emblazoned on your soul. And for Cub fans, this was such a game.
It's not easy being a Cubs fan. But this makes it all worth it.
Pitches down and in.
But in typical Cub fashion, it wasn't easy. Familiar feelings of failure returned after a 3-run lead vanished.
In your heart of hearts, did you think they were going to blow it? Yeah, they did not come.
But this group was different. A favorite to win it all since the start of the year, they won more games than any other team this season, including the one that mattered most.
The longest drought in the history of American sports is over, and the celebration begins.
Lifelong faithfuls cheered from their living rooms, favorite bars, or nearest street corners to exult in the victory of the lovable losers and shed the superstitions that surrounded this franchise for decades. Now, the reality of what happened is still sinking in. Chicago is planning a big parade for the Cubs in the next couple of days, and President Obama, who is a very famous White Sox fan, has extended an invitation to baseball's newest champs to visit him at the White House. Charlie?
Thanks, Dean. Cubs chairman Tom Ricketts could not contain himself last night after receiving the World Series trophy.
I just think about, so many millions of people giving so much love and support to this team for so many years. To finally pay them back, I just want to say this real quick. And the Cubs are World Series champions!
Only on CBS This Morning, Tom Ricketts joins us from Progressive Field in Cleveland. Good morning.